We are Joe and Barbara Magby. We have been married for, it'll be 12 years
No.
in November. Yeah, November 11th. Yeah. And so I think that the moment for us in recent years when we kind of felt we were drifting apart, there were a lot of things going on behind the scenes. I was in a pretty stressful job, and then my health was kind of in a rough place. Your health was kind of in a rough place. We kind of went through a season of a lot of beatings externally, and then that filtered inside. I think my health took a turn, and the docs said, "Hey, you got to slow down with drinking." And so we talked about that, and I wasn't really ready to slow down, and so all that went under the surface.
Yeah, and I started playing manager a little bit of Joe's life, where I was trying to make sure that he was following all the rules, and peppering him with questions, as one does when you're feeling insecure, or that something is happening where you're not really sure, there's something under the surface, and you feel unsafe, and like the ground that you're standing on is a little bit shaken. So.
And then to me, all those questions laid into a fear of exposure for me, of exposure of failure, exposure of sin, exposure of weakness, and so in my way, I kept kind of hiding those and kept just trying to keep things on an even keel, which added more stress, which added more problems, which added more complications, and it just snowballed. And it wasn't a quick thing, but we just sort of drifted apart. Everything that I was hiding came out. All of your fears, I think, were sort of confirmed. And it was just nasty. It was a whole season of nasty. And I remember, I was in a pretty dark place because I felt, again, exposed and felt very isolated. And in those moments, the temptation is just let me crawl into a hole and die. And you said something that was interesting in that moment. You said, "I'm not leaving you. So if you go down, you're taking me with you," yeah. Which for me was like, oh shoot, like there's no, I'm in. She said, I'm with you.
At that time, it was a very hard time for our marriage. We were not sleeping in the same rooms. We were taking time to pray. You were doing things that the church leadership had you do. I was, I think, trying to make healthy steps of protection and to kind of figure out what the steps were to restoration. And we both signed up to go to Regen.
We did Regen together.
That was amazing. Yeah. For us.
It just gave us the tools and the language to be honest, mm-hmm. and to talk about things. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of this twofold thing of we had this dependency on the Holy Spirit because we needed it, but then we also had this dependency on others that we needed. Mm-hmm. And that created this open and honest relationship between each other.
Yeah. I think the hardest times for me personally while we were going through the trenches, as far as the roughest parts of our marriage, was the strong inclination to stay home, don't go out. Yeah. There's this, your pride is tweaked because people know that you're struggling. Yeah. And I definitely many days just wanted to bury myself in my house, shut my door, lock it, be like, I'm not leaving. I don't want to have to deal with people. I don't want to have to answer those questions over and over again. We never came up against harsh judgment or people making us feel shame or guilt. It was always, encouragement, and it was a good reminder that that's where Satan wanted us, was alone, by ourselves. Yeah, cut off as married couple, cut off as individuals, and I think that was actually one of the reasons why we got to the place in the beginning. So.
Yeah. And now we're perfect. No, I think now, looking back on all that, and that was a valley. That was the valley of the shadow of death. I mean, genuinely, for us and for our marriage, it was really difficult. But looking back now, we see the Lord's hand in it and how He has, He brought us through it. And now we can walk in light together, which is so incredibly freeing, because now we love each other now even more because we know each other better, because there's honesty and there's trust and there's togetherness and there's this sense of we're walking through life together instead of
we're walking in the light as He is in the light.
Yep.
Our relationship is better, stronger, happier now than we've ever been, and it's just a testimony of God can restore something to the point of like it is made new again. It's made into something better than it was.
I think the important thing to know is that the night seems darkest just before the dawn, and that there will be moments when it seems like all is lost and it seems like there's nothing but despair and genuine despair. Mm-hmm. How can this be fixed? How are we ever going to get out of this? Is this how I'm always going to be? And that's not true. Because if Christ can save me and Christ can save this marriage and redeem it, then my encouragement is don't quit, don't stop, don't give up, because right in that moment is when the Lord does something amazing, and He turns around and He shows the way out, and He redeems it, and He brings it back to beauty. There's a third person in this relationship who did all the heavy lifting.
And a community of people that were there.
We are Joe and Barbara Magby, and that's our story.